Your front door is lying to you. Right now it's telling potential customers one of two things. We're closed, we're outdated, don't bother. Or it's saying, we're open, we're modern, and something amazing is waiting for you inside. Which message is your business sending? Because that single message, delivered in a split second, is either making you money or costing you a fortune. Think about Maria. She poured her life savings into opening a beautiful little bookstore in a decent part of town. She had the perfect inventory, a cozy reading nook, and the best coffee for miles. But foot traffic was a trickle. People would walk by, glance at her heavy dark wood door with its small high window, and just keep walking. Her business was suffocating behind a barrier she didn't even see. She blamed the economy, the location, online retailers, everything but the 10-foot-tall go-away sign she had for a front door. Then, on a shoestring budget, she made one change. She replaced that fortress with a floor-to-ceiling, single-pane tempered glass door. And everything changed. The sunlight poured in, illuminating the warm, inviting space inside. Passers-by could now see the colorful book displays, the comfy chairs, the smiling faces. It was like lifting a veil. Her foot traffic tripled in the first month. Tripled. She didn't change her books, her coffee, or her service. She changed the invitation. This isn't a fairy tale. This is the brutal, simple reality of retail psychology. And it's the secret weapon that smart business owners are using to dominate their local markets. This video series is your guide to wielding that weapon. We're not just talking about installing a piece of glass. We are going on a deep dive into the art and science of the commercial entrance. This is a masterclass for American small business owners on how to turn your single biggest liability, an uninviting storefront, into your most powerful customer-attracting asset. Over the next 10 parts, I'm going to pull back the curtain on the entire process. You will learn how to choose the exact right door that screams your brand's message. You'll understand the critical difference between annealed, tempered, and laminated glass, and which one can save you from a lawsuit. We'll decode the alphabet soup of ADA compliance, building codes, and egress requirements so you can sleep at night, knowing you're not just safe, but legally protected. I'll show you how to spot a high-quality installer from a rip-off artist a mile away. And I'll give you the exact questions to ask to ensure you get a fair price and a flawless installation. We'll cover security, energy efficiency, hardware, and the long-term maintenance that keeps your investment looking brand new for decades. But before we get into the nuts and bolts, we have to understand the why. Why did Maria's business explode overnight? It comes down to 3 powerful psychological triggers that a great glass door activates in the human brain. First is the principle of transparency and trust. A solid, opaque door creates a barrier. It creates uncertainty. What's behind it? Is it open? Is it sketchy? Will I feel pressured the moment I walk in? These micro-hesitations are conversion killers. A glass door removes that uncertainty. It says, we have nothing to hide. What you see is what you get. It allows customers to pre-qualify their experience. They can see the vibe, they can see the products, they can see other happy customers inside. This builds an immediate subconscious layer of trust before they've even touched the handle. In a world where authenticity is everything, transparency isn't just a buzzword, it's a business strategy. Second is the power of light and liveliness. Humans are like plants. We are instinctively drawn to light. Bright, naturally lit spaces feel more energetic, cleaner, and safer. An old, dark storefront feels depressing and stagnant. By replacing a solid door with a glass one, you're essentially installing a giant window that floods your space with free, natural light. This doesn't just cut down on your electricity bill. It fundamentally changes the mood of your entire business. Products look more vibrant. Employees feel more energized. Customers feel more welcome. It transforms your store from a cave into a beacon. And third, the most powerful trigger of all, social proof. Picture a street with 2 coffee shops. One has a dark tinted door. The other has a clear glass door, and through it, you can see 3 or 4 people laughing, sipping lattes, and working on their laptops. Which one are you more likely to enter? It's not even a contest. Seeing other people inside is the ultimate endorsement. It screams, this place is good. People like it here. You'll like it too. A glass door turns your existing customers into a 24/7 living advertisement for your business. It removes the risk for new customers, because they see others have already taken that risk and are enjoying the reward. So, you see, this isn't about construction. It's about communication. Your front door is the cover of your book, the headline of your ad, the handshake before the conversation. And right now, yours might be telling the wrong story. Let's talk about the hidden costs of ignoring this. It's not just about the customers you're not getting. What about the ones you're losing money on? That old warped door frame? It's probably leaking your expensive heated or air-conditioned air onto the street, driving up your utility bills every single month. That outdated lock and flimsy frame? It's a welcome mat for burglars, a potential security breach that could cost you thousands in stolen inventory and damages. And here's the big one most owners never think about: legal liability. Is your door handle ADA compliant? Is the threshold low enough for wheelchair access? Does it have the proper panic hardware required by your local fire code? Failing an inspection, or even worse, facing a lawsuit from an injured or disadvantaged customer, can be a business-ending event. This is why we're making this series, because the stakes are too high to just wing it. The fear of the unknown, the cost, the hassle, the risk of choosing the wrong thing, causes so many business owners to just live with the broken, inefficient, and uninviting door they inherited. My mission is to eliminate that fear by arming you with knowledge. Now, it's super important to remember that I'm not a contractor or a lawyer, and this presentation is for educational purposes. The real magic happens when you take this knowledge and partner with a licensed, local professional who knows your city's specific codes like the back of their hand. My goal is to make you the most educated client they've ever had, so you can command the process with confidence instead of being led by it. Think of this investment not as an expense but as a marketing machine that you pay for once. Let's do some quick, conservative math. Let's say a new professional glass door installation costs $5,000. That sounds like a lot. But what if, like Maria, your foot traffic increases by just 20%? If your average customer spends $25 and you get just 10 extra customers a day, that's $250 extra a day. That's over $7,500 a month in new revenue. In this scenario, your brand new door pays for itself in less than 1 month. And after that, it's pure profit month after month, year after year. It's an asset that pays dividends in curb appeal, customer trust, and cold hard cash. Compare that to a $5,000 social media ad campaign that disappears the second you stop paying for it. The choice becomes crystal clear. So here's our roadmap. In this series, we will dissect every decision you need to make. We'll start with the big picture. What type of door system is right for you? A simple swing door? A sliding door for high traffic flow? Maybe elegant bifold doors that open up your entire storefront on a sunny day? Then we'll zoom in on the glass itself: single pane, double pane for energy efficiency, laminated for security, tinted for privacy. We'll explore all the hardware, the handles, the closers, the panic bars, and how these small details make a huge difference in function and feel. We'll dedicate an entire part to demystifying the legal stuff: the Americans with Disabilities Act, fire codes, and local building permits. I'll give you a checklist so you can walk into a conversation with your city planners and your contractors sounding like you've been doing this for years. And most importantly, we will cover in exhaustive detail how to find, vet, and hire the right installation company. I'll give you the red flags to watch out for, the green lights to look for, and the exact contract terms you need to have in writing to protect yourself. This is the guide I wish I had when I was starting my first business. It's everything you need to know to make this critical upgrade with total confidence, transforming your storefront from a liability into your #1 salesperson. Your journey from being overwhelmed and uncertain to being empowered and profitable starts right now. And that first step, the very foundation of your confidence, is understanding the language of commercial doors. Because when a contractor starts throwing around terms like style, closer, panic hardware, or thermal break, you don't want to be nodding along in a fog of confusion. You want to be in control. You want to lead the conversation. Let's demystify it all right now. Forget the jargon for a second. At its core, there are really only a few main categories of commercial glass doors, and each one tells a different story about the business behind it. Picking the right one isn't just a practical choice. It's a branding decision. First, you have the undisputed champion, the workhorse of the American storefront, the swinging door. This is likely what you picture in your head. A simple hinged door that swings in or out. It's the classic, reliable choice for a reason. Think of a small retail boutique, a lawyer's office, a local accounting firm, or the entrance to a quiet professional building. These doors say, "We are established, we are professional, and we are open for business." But even within this simple category, there are choices that matter. The most common setup is the aluminum storefront door. Why aluminum? Because it's the perfect trifecta. It's lightweight, meaning less stress on the hinges and frame over a lifetime of use. It's incredibly strong and resistant to corrosion, so it'll stand up to rain, snow, and sun without rusting or warping, and it's cost-effective. You'll choose between a single door, perfect for lower traffic businesses, or a double door, which creates a more grandiose entrance and better handles the flow of people in and out. The glass itself is almost always tempered safety glass. This is critical. Unlike the glass in your home's windows, tempered glass is designed to shatter into tiny, relatively harmless pebble-like pieces if it breaks, rather than large, dangerous shards. It's a non-negotiable safety feature. The hardware on these doors is just as important as the door itself. You'll hear about closers. That's the hydraulic arm at the top that ensures the door shuts smoothly and securely behind every customer. You'll also need to consider panic hardware, or a crash bar. That's the horizontal bar you push to open a door from the inside in an emergency. Depending on your city and your business's occupancy level, this is often a strict building code requirement. So the swinging door isn't just a simple panel. It's a complete system designed for security, safety, and reliability. It's the tried-and-true foundation of the American storefront. Now let's move to the second major category, the sliding door. If the swinging door is the reliable workhorse, the sliding door is the silent, efficient welcomer. Think of the entrance to a grocery store, a pharmacy, or a modern medical clinic. The moment you approach, it glides open effortlessly. It doesn't require you to pull a handle when your arms are full of groceries, or push a heavy door while you're wrangling a child. The biggest advantage here is accessibility and space. A swinging door needs a clear arc to open, eating up valuable floor space either inside or outside your business. A sliding door simply tucks away, parallel to the wall. This is a game changer for businesses with narrow entryways or limited sidewalk space. More importantly, automatic sliding doors are the gold standard for ADA compliance, the Americans with Disabilities Act. They provide a barrier-free entrance for customers in wheelchairs, those with walkers, or parents pushing strollers. By choosing an automatic slider, you're not just installing a door, you're sending a powerful message to your community that everyone is welcome, and that you've invested in their convenience and comfort. While we often think of the fully automatic, motion sensor-activated sliders, there are also manual versions, often called barn doors in a commercial context, which can be a great option for interior spaces like conference rooms or private offices where you want to save space with a modern aesthetic. But for your main entrance, the automatic slider is a statement piece. It says, "We are modern, we are efficient, and we care about every single customer who walks through our entrance." Third, we have the showstopper, the experience creator. I'm talking about folding or bifold doors. These are the doors that don't just open a passageway. They remove an entire wall. Picture a trendy cafe on a beautiful spring day, its entire storefront folded away, seamlessly blending the indoor seating with the outdoor patio. Imagine a high-end car dealership where a massive glass wall concertina's back, allowing a gleaming new vehicle to be driven right onto the showroom floor. Folding doors are less about simple entry and exit, and more about transforming a space. They are an architectural feature. They create an atmosphere. For restaurants, breweries, and high-end retail, they are an investment in vibe. They literally open up your business to the world, creating an inviting open-air feel that can be an incredible draw for foot traffic. Of course, this premium experience comes at a premium price point. The engineering required to make a 12-foot wide wall of glass and aluminum fold smoothly and seal tightly against the weather is significant. You need to pay close attention to the quality of the tracks, the seals, and the locking mechanisms to ensure it's not just beautiful, but also secure and energy efficient when closed. A poorly made folding door system can be a nightmare of drafts, leaks, and security issues. But a high-quality system? It can become the single most talked about feature of your business, paying for itself in ambience and customer appeal. It says, "We are not just a business, we are a destination." Finally, there's a fourth type you need to know, one that's all about minimalist elegance. The frameless glass door, often called a Herculite door, which is actually a brand name that has become a generic term. Think of the entrance to a modern tech office, a spa, or the interior of a high-end shopping mall. These are thick, heavy single panels of glass with minimal hardware, usually just a handle, a lock at the bottom, and pivots at the top and bottom corners. There's no aluminum frame around the glass itself, which creates a stunning, almost invisible look. It's pure, uninterrupted transparency. This style is perfect for businesses selling a high-end aesthetic. It conveys luxury, sophistication, and a cutting-edge sensibility. While they are most common for interior doors to separate a lobby from offices or a conference room, they are also used for exterior applications, especially in locations that are somewhat sheltered within a larger building. They require specialized hardware and installation expertise because the entire weight of that heavy glass rests on just a few points. It's a bold choice that prioritizes form, making a powerful statement before a customer even sets foot inside. So you have the four main players: the reliable swinging door, the efficient sliding door, the experiential folding door, and the elegant frameless door. Each one serves a purpose. Each one projects a different image. This isn't just about choosing glass and metal. It's about deciding how you want to greet the world. Do you want to offer a firm, traditional handshake? An effortless, welcoming wave? A wide-open, enthusiastic embrace? Or a sleek, sophisticated nod? The door you choose is the first chapter of your business's story, read by every person who passes by. And now that you know the main characters in that story, the real question becomes, how do you pick the right one for your specific business? How do you balance the ironclad needs of your local building codes, the brutal realities of your climate, and the hard numbers in your budget? Choosing between these options can feel like the difference between a smart, one-time investment and a costly recurring headache. And that's exactly what we're going to tackle next. We're going to move from the what to the how to choose. I'm going to give you a strategic checklist, a decision-making framework that will cut through the noise and guide you to the perfect door for your business, your customers, and your bottom line. So let's call this the Triple F framework. It stands for function, form, and future. 3 simple words, but inside them is everything you need to know. Get these 3 right and you won't just buy a door. You'll make a strategic investment. We're going to tackle the first and arguably the most critical F right now: function. This isn't the sexy part. This is the nuts and bolts, the foundation upon which everything else is built. If your door doesn't function correctly for your specific business, it doesn't matter how beautiful it is or how long it lasts. A failure in function is a failure of the entire project. The first question under function is this: what is the rhythm of your business? I'm talking about foot traffic. Are you a quiet, appointment-only law office? Or are you a bustling downtown deli with a line out the door every day from noon to 2? The answer changes everything. Let's imagine 2 businesses. First, there's Mark's accounting firm. He has maybe 10 to 15 clients a day, each arriving at a scheduled time. His entryway is calm, controlled. For Mark, a standard manual swinging or pivot door is perfect. It's elegant, professional, and easily handles the low volume of traffic. Now let's think about Sarah's coffee shop. The daily grind. Between 7 and 9:30 in the morning, she has a constant flood of people. They're juggling briefcases, they're on their phones, their hands are full with muffins and lattes on the way out. For Sarah, a manual door is a nightmare. It's a bottleneck. It's a potential for spills. It's an obstacle. For her, an automatic sliding door isn't a luxury. It's a necessity for operational efficiency. It keeps the river of caffeine-deprived customers flowing smoothly. Think about your peak hours. Stand by your current entrance and watch. How many people pass through in your busiest hour? Do they come in groups? Are their hands typically full when they enter or when they leave? Be a scientist of your own entryway. The answer will immediately narrow your options and point you toward either a manual or an automatic system. Don't just guess. Count. Data makes the decision for you. Next up in function: security. Your front door isn't just a welcome mat. It's the guardian of your livelihood. It's the first line of defense between your hard-earned assets and the outside world. And let's be honest, in today's world, you can't afford to overlook this. Start with the glass itself. We talked about tempered and laminated glass before. Tempered glass is strong, but when it breaks, it shatters into a million tiny, relatively harmless pieces. This is a safety feature, but for security it means one good smash and someone has access. Laminated glass, on the other hand, has that vinyl layer. When it's hit, it cracks and spiders, but it stays in the frame. It holds together. A potential thief can't just create a hole and walk in. They have to make a ton of noise and spend a lot of time trying to get through it, which is usually enough of a deterrent. For a jewelry store, a liquor store, or any business in an area with higher crime rates, laminated glass is a no-brainer. For that quiet accounting firm, tempered is likely sufficient. But the glass is only part of the equation. Let's talk about the hardware, the locks. A standard thumb-turn lock might be fine for some, but you need to think about your daily procedure. Who has keys? Who locks up at night? You might want to consider a door with a multi-point locking system, which secures the door at the top, bottom and side, making it significantly harder to pry open. Or maybe you need a keyless entry system with a keypad or card reader. This gives you an audit trail, you know exactly who entered and when. It also means if an employee leaves, you don't have to change the locks. You just deactivate their code or card. Think about the worst-case scenario. It's midnight. Your business is closed. What is standing between a criminal and your inventory, your equipment, your cash register? Your door needs to be an active part of your security plan, not just a passive entryway. The third pillar of function is one that is not optional. It's not a suggestion. It is the law, and more importantly, it's just good business. I'm talking about accessibility and ADA compliance. The Americans with Disabilities Act has clear standards for commercial doorways to ensure that everyone, regardless of physical ability, has the same access to your establishment. This means your door needs to have a clear opening of at least 32 inches. It means the threshold at the bottom can't be more than half an inch high. It means the door handle has to be operable with one hand and not require tight grasping or twisting. Think a lever handle, not a round knob. But I want you to think beyond just the legal requirements. Think about the customer experience. Think about the mother trying to navigate a stroller through your door. Think about the elderly customer who uses a walker. Think about the delivery driver hauling in a dolly stacked with your supplies. An accessible door is a welcoming door for everyone. Choosing a door with an automatic opener, or at least a push-button operator, can be one of the most welcoming gestures you can make. It tells every single person who approaches that you've thought about them, that you want their business, and that you value their patronage. Failing to meet ADA standards can open you up to serious lawsuits and fines, but the real cost is alienating a huge segment of your potential customer base. Making your business accessible isn't an expense, it's an expansion of your market. Finally, the fourth piece of the function puzzle: energy efficiency. As a small business owner, you are acutely aware of overhead. Every dollar you can save on your heating or cooling bill is a dollar that goes straight to your bottom line. Your big, beautiful glass door can also be a massive hole in your building's insulation if you choose poorly. This is where you need to learn a few key terms. Look for doors with a thermal break. This is a piece of low-conductivity material sandwiched into the metal frame that stops heat or cold from transferring through the metal. Without it, your aluminum frame in the winter will feel like an ice cube, radiating cold into your space. Then there's the glass itself. You'll want to look for double pane or even triple pane insulated glass units, or IGUs. This means there are 2 or 3 panes of glass separated by a sealed air or gas-filled space. This space acts as a powerful insulator. And for the gold standard, make sure that glass has a low E coating. That's low emissivity. It's an invisible microscopic metallic coating that reflects infrared heat. In the summer, it reflects the sun's heat out, keeping your store cool. In the winter, it reflects your furnace's heat back in, keeping your space warm. The upfront cost for a high-efficiency door is a little more, yes, but calculate the return on investment. A well-insulated door can save you hundreds, if not thousands, of dollars a year on your utility bills. Pays for itself over and over again. It's one of the smartest financial decisions you can make for the physical location of your business. So there you have it. The 4 pillars of function: traffic flow, security, accessibility, and energy efficiency. You need to analyze each of these for your specific business before you even think about what color the frame is going to be. You've now built the engine of your perfect door. The powerful, reliable core that does the work. But an engine with no chassis is just a pile of parts. Next, we're going to build the body. We're moving to the second F, form. This is the aesthetic, the design, the visual statement that tells your brand's story before a customer even steps inside. Because a door that functions perfectly but looks completely wrong doesn't just clash with your decor. It can actively cost you customers. So let's talk about that cost. Let's dive deep into the first, and arguably most important aesthetic choice you're going to make: the frame. Are you going framed? Or are you going frameless? This isn't just a simple design choice like picking a paint color. This is a fundamental decision that dictates the entire personality of your entrance. It's the difference between a whisper and a shout. First, let's talk about the whisper. The sleek, the modern, the minimalist masterpiece. The frameless glass door. Picture it in your mind. A single solid sheet of heavy tempered glass. Polished edges. Minimal hardware, maybe just a handle and hinges that seem to float in space. This is the look of luxury. It's the choice for high-end boutiques, contemporary art galleries, upscale spas, and corporate law firms that want to project an image of transparency and cutting-edge sophistication. The primary benefit of a frameless door is the unparalleled, unobstructed view. It creates a seamless transition between the outside world and your interior space. If you have incredible window displays, a beautifully designed interior, or a stunning view you want to capitalize on, a frameless door is your best friend. It essentially turns your entire storefront into a display case. It's an invitation that says, "We have nothing to hide. What you see is what you get, and what you see is premium." It maximizes natural light, making your space feel bigger, brighter, and more open. Psychologically, for a customer, it reduces the barrier to entry. There is literally less stuff between them and your product. But, and this is a big but, that premium look comes with premium considerations. Frameless doors are typically made from thicker, heavier glass, usually half-inch or even 3/4 inch thick, to ensure structural integrity without a supporting frame. This means they are more expensive not just for the glass itself, but for the specialized hardware required to hang it and the expert labor needed to install it perfectly. This is not a job for a general contractor. You need a specialist glazier. They also require more maintenance in terms of cleaning. Every fingerprint, every smudge, every raindrop shows up on that beautiful, clear canvas. For a high-traffic business, you'll need a dedicated daily, if not hourly, cleaning routine to keep it looking pristine. And while the tempered glass is incredibly strong, the exposed edges are the most vulnerable point. A sharp impact on an edge from a rolling cart or a metal dolly could potentially lead to a chip or, in a worst-case scenario, a full shatter. Now let's flip the coin and talk about the shout. Or maybe not a shout, but a clear, confident, declarative statement. The framed glass door. Specifically, the aluminum framed door. This is the workhorse of the commercial world. It's the door you see on countless retail stores, restaurants, gas stations, and office buildings across America. And there's a reason for its popularity. It is incredibly durable, versatile, and cost-effective. The aluminum frame provides a rigid structure around the glass panel, which means the glass itself can be thinner, typically 1/4 inch thick. This immediately brings down the cost. The frame acts as a protective bumper, absorbing the daily abuse of bumps, scrapes, and knocks, making it an ideal choice for high-traffic environments. You don't have to worry as much about a chipped edge from a delivery cart. But don't mistake workhorse for boring. The versatility of aluminum frames is their secret weapon. They can be anodized or powder-coated in virtually any color you can imagine. You can match your brand's exact Pantone color. A bright red frame for a retro diner? Done. A sleek matte black for a modern industrial-themed coffee shop? Easy. A classic clear anodized or bronze finish for a professional building? Standard. The frame itself becomes a design element, a way to add a pop of color, or to tie the entrance into the building's overall architectural style. It can define the entryway, making it a clear, unmissable focal point. The downside? If not chosen carefully, a standard, bulky aluminum frame can look dated. It can feel generic, like an off-the-shelf solution. It can also create a stronger visual barrier, slightly reducing the open, airy feeling that a frameless door provides. However, modern designs are fighting this stereotype with slim profile frames that offer a more refined, contemporary look, giving you a fantastic middle ground between the robust utility of a frame and a more minimalist aesthetic. And of course, there are other framing materials. You might see wood frames for a rustic, warm, and welcoming feel at a mountain lodge or a craft brewery. Or you might see steel frames for that super trendy, industrial chic, Brooklyn loft vibe, often with thin mullions creating a grid pattern on the glass. These are more niche, often more expensive, but they offer a powerful way to make a unique brand statement if it aligns with your identity. So you've thought about the frame. You've decided on the statement you want to make. But now comes the next critical layer of the decision. How does the door move? How do your customers actually interact with it? This is the choice between swinging, sliding, and revolving. Let's start with the most common, the swinging door. Available as a single door or a pair of double doors, this is the classic solution. A single swinging door is a simple, effective solution for most small businesses with moderate foot traffic. Double doors, however, create a much grander sense of arrival. They feel more symmetrical, more inviting, and they are essential for handling larger crowds and for moving large items in and out. The critical factor with swinging doors is the direction of the swing and the space it requires. Building codes, especially fire codes, will mandate that your door swings outward from your establishment. This is a non-negotiable safety feature. This means you must have enough clearance on the sidewalk or entryway for the door to complete its full arc without hitting a person, a planter, or any other obstruction. You also have to think about the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA. The law has very specific requirements for door width, the force required to open the door, and the clear space needed on either side for wheelchair accessibility. A good installer will be a master of these codes, but it's something you need to be aware of from the very beginning of your planning. Now, what if you don't have the space for a door to swing outward? Or what if you have a constant, heavy flow of customers and want to make their entry and exit as effortless as possible? That's where the automatic sliding door comes in. This is the go-to for grocery stores, hospitals, airports, and big box retailers. The reason is simple. They offer the path of least resistance. A customer with their hands full of shopping bags, pushing a stroller, or using a wheelchair doesn't have to think twice. The door just opens for them. It's a silent, welcoming gesture. From a business perspective, they are incredible space savers, as they don't require any swing clearance. They simply slide along a track parallel to the wall. They can also help with energy efficiency, as they open only when someone is there and close securely behind them, minimizing the time your conditioned air is escaping outside. The downside, of course, is the initial cost and complexity. They involve motors, sensors, and control systems that are far more expensive to install and maintain than a simple set of hinges. A power outage can be a problem if you don't have a battery backup system, and the track and sensors need to be kept clean and free of debris to function properly. Choosing between a swing and a slide isn't just about space or convenience. It's about the very first physical interaction a customer has with your business. Are you asking them to pull a handle, or are you opening the way for them automatically? One says, "Come on in." The other says, "Welcome, we were expecting you." But beyond the psychology, this choice has massive implications for your energy bills, your long-term maintenance costs, and even your security. And getting this fundamental choice of motion wrong doesn't just create a minor inconvenience. It can literally send your heating and cooling budget flying out the door. The biggest culprit in that energy loss, however, isn't what most business owners think. It's the glass. The single biggest point of energy failure in most commercial doors isn't the motion, the drafts, or the seal. It's the massive pane of glass that makes up 90% of the door itself. We think of glass as a solid barrier, but from a thermal perspective, a standard single pane of glass is less of a wall and more of a wide-open gate. To understand why, we need to talk about a fundamental law of physics that is silently waging war on your utility bills every single day: thermal transfer. It's a simple concept. Hot always moves to cold. Always. It's not a suggestion, it's a law. When you hold a hot cup of coffee, the heat moves into your colder hands. When you hold an ice cube, the heat from your hand moves into the colder ice, melting it. Your business is no different. On a cold winter day, your expensive heated indoor air is desperately trying to escape to the cold outside. On a blistering summer day, the oppressive outdoor heat is relentlessly trying to force its way into your air-conditioned space. Your building is in a constant battle to maintain its temperature against the outside world. And your glass door is the main battlefield. A single pane of glass is an incredible conductor of heat. It offers almost no resistance. Think of it like a metal pipe. Whatever the temperature is on one side, it very quickly becomes the temperature on the other. This means in the winter, the interior surface of your glass door is almost as cold as the air outside. That cold surface then radiates cold into your store, creating uncomfortable drafts and forcing your heating system to work overtime just to keep up. Customers sitting near the door feel chilled, even if the thermostat is cranked up. In the summer, the exact opposite happens. The sun beats down on that glass, and it becomes a giant radiator, pumping heat into your business, sending your AC unit into overdrive. You are literally paying to air condition the sidewalk. So how do we fight this? How do we turn that wide-open thermal gate into a fortress? The answer is the single most important technological leap in the last 50 years of fenestration: the insulated glass unit, or IGU. You probably know it by its more common name, double pane or triple pane glass. But it's not just about having two pieces of glass. That's the most common misconception. You could glue two panes of glass together and you'd barely see a difference. The magic, the real secret sauce, is what happens in the space between the panes. That space is hermetically sealed. And it's not filled with regular air. It's filled with an inert, colorless, odorless, and completely non-toxic gas, usually argon, or for high-performance units, krypton. Why? Because these gases are far denser and far less thermally conductive than air. Think of it like this. Regular air is like a thin cotton sheet on a cold night. It's better than nothing, but you're still going to be cold. Argon gas is like a thick, premium down comforter. It traps the heat. It creates a thermal buffer that dramatically slows down that process of thermal transfer. The heat from your store has to fight its way through the first pane of glass, then struggle to cross that dense, insulating blanket of argon gas, and only then can it try to get through the outer pane of glass. The heat transfer is slowed to a crawl. The result is staggering. On that same cold winter day, the interior surface of a double-pane, argon-filled door will be significantly warmer than a single-pane door. It might be 55 or 60 degrees instead of 35. That means no more cold radiation, no more phantom drafts, and a much happier heating system. Your customers are comfortable everywhere in your store, and your bottom line reflects the difference. But the technology doesn't stop there. The best commercial doors take it 2 steps further. The first is the spacer. That's the strip that runs along the perimeter between the 2 panes of glass, keeping them apart and sealing in the gas. In older, cheaper units, this was just a piece of aluminum. But remember what we said about conductivity. Metal is a great conductor. So you'd have this amazing insulated glass unit, but the edges would be a thermal superhighway, allowing heat to zip right around the argon gas. This is called thermal bridging, and it would cause condensation and even frost to form on the inside edges of the glass in the winter. Modern high-quality doors use what's called a warm edge spacer. It's made from foam, silicone, or other low-conductivity materials that stop that thermal bridging in its tracks. It's a small detail you'll never see, but it makes a massive difference in both performance and the longevity of the door, as it helps prevent seal failure. The second and perhaps most impactful innovation is something you can't see at all. It's an ultra-thin transparent metallic coating applied to one of the glass surfaces inside that sealed unit. This is called a low emissivity, or low-E coating. And this is where things get really clever. Low-E coatings are like a heat mirror. They are designed to reflect a specific type of energy, long-wave infrared radiation, which is just a fancy term for heat. In the winter, the heat generated by your furnace is long-wave radiation. As that heat tries to escape through the glass, the low-E coating reflects it right back into the room. It's like having a bouncer at the door for your heat, saying, "Nope, you're staying inside where you belong." It keeps the warmth you've paid for inside. In the summer, the coating works in reverse. The most intense heat from the sun is also infrared radiation. As that solar heat tries to bake your interior, the low-E coating reflects it back outside, before it can ever get into the air you're paying to cool. So you get all the beautiful, natural visible light coming through the glass, without the punishing heat that comes with it. It's a truly remarkable technology, and the benefits go beyond just energy savings. That same low-E coating also blocks a huge percentage of damaging ultraviolet or UV radiation. If you have products, furniture, or flooring near your entrance, a standard glass door is bathing them in UV rays all day long, causing them to fade, discolor, and degrade over time. A low-E coated door acts like sunscreen for your inventory, protecting your investment and keeping your merchandise looking vibrant and new. So when you're choosing a glass door, asking about the glass isn't just one question. It's a series of them. Is it double-paned? Is it filled with argon or krypton gas? Does it use a warm edge spacer? And what kind of low-E coating does it have? Getting these 4 things right can reduce the energy loss through your glass door by as much as 75% compared to a basic single pane. That's not a typo. 75%. This isn't a minor upgrade. It's a fundamental change in how your building performs. It's the difference between a gaping hole in your thermal envelope and a high-performance, money-saving asset. You can have the most advanced, triple-pane, krypton-filled, multi-coated glass on the planet, but if it's sitting in the wrong frame, you might as well have just installed a giant metal heat sink. And the most common frame material is often the worst offender. That worst offender is aluminum. And I know what you're thinking. Aluminum is everywhere. It's on storefronts, office buildings, you name it. It's lightweight, it's strong for its weight, it's relatively inexpensive, and it can be easily shaped into complex profiles. From a manufacturing and initial cost standpoint, it's a dream material. But from a thermal performance standpoint, it's a complete and utter nightmare. Think about it. What are pots and pans made of? What are the cooling fins on an engine or a computer chip made of? Aluminum. Why? Because it is an incredible conductor of heat. It practically sucks heat out of one area and dumps it into another. So when you have a solid aluminum frame holding your fancy, energy-efficient glass, you've essentially created a thermal superhighway around your insulated island. In the winter, that frame is pulling the precious warmth from inside your business and broadcasting it out into the cold. In the summer, it's grabbing the blistering heat from outside and funneling it directly into your air-conditioned space. Your HVAC system has to run constantly just to fight the battle your door frame is losing on its behalf. It's like buying a state-of-the-art refrigerator and then leaving the door wide open. So, does this mean you have to abandon the benefits of aluminum? The strength, the sleek modern look? Not at all. The industry came up with an ingenious solution, and if you learn one term from this entire section, make it this one: thermally broken. A thermally broken aluminum frame is the hero of this story. Imagine taking a standard aluminum frame and cutting it in half, right down the middle. You now have an exterior piece and an interior piece. In the gap between them, manufacturers insert a strip of material that is a very poor conductor of heat, usually a type of reinforced polyamide or a strong plastic. This strip acts as a barrier, a break in the thermal highway. The heat or cold from the outside hits the exterior aluminum, but it can't cross that insulating bridge to get to the interior aluminum. It's the same principle as the plastic handle on a metal cooking pot. The pot can be scorching hot, but the handle stays cool enough to touch because the plastic doesn't transfer the heat. This one simple, brilliant innovation transforms aluminum from one of the worst performing frame materials into one of the best. It maintains the strength, the slim profile, and the durability of aluminum, while giving it the insulating properties it desperately needs. Now, is it more expensive than a standard, non-thermally broken frame? Yes, absolutely. But the money you save on your energy bills month after month, year after year, will pay back that difference many times over. For any business in a climate with hot summers or cold winters, which is most of the United States, a thermally broken aluminum frame isn't a luxury. It's a fundamental requirement for a smart investment. But aluminum isn't the only player in the game. Let's look at the other options because the right choice depends entirely on your business, your budget, and your climate. Next up is vinyl, or as you might see it listed, UPVC. Vinyl frames are fantastic insulators. The material itself doesn't conduct heat well at all, and the frames are typically designed with multiple hollow chambers inside, creating pockets of dead air that act as extra insulation. They're also extremely low maintenance. You'll never have to paint them, and they won't rot, rust, or corrode. They clean up easily and are often the most budget-friendly option. So what's the catch? Well, strength can be a concern for very large or heavy glass doors. While often reinforced with metal internally, they don't have the inherent rigidity of aluminum or steel. In climates with extreme heat and intense, direct sunlight, like Arizona or Nevada, lower quality vinyl can sometimes warp or become brittle over time. And aesthetically, while modern vinyl comes in more colors than just white or beige, some people feel it lacks the premium look of other materials. For a small cafe, a retail boutique, or a professional office where budget is a major driver, vinyl is an excellent high-value choice. If you like the low maintenance and insulating properties of vinyl, but want something stronger and more premium, then you need to look at fiberglass. Fiberglass frames are, in many ways, the ultimate frame material. They are incredibly strong and dimensionally stable. This means they don't expand and contract much with temperature changes, which reduces stress on the glass seals and prevents warping. They are phenomenal insulators, even better than vinyl. You can get them in a smooth finish or with a convincing wood grain texture, and they can be painted to match any color scheme you can dream of. So why isn't every door frame made of fiberglass? 2 words: upfront cost. Fiberglass is a premium material, and it carries a premium price tag. It's significantly more expensive than vinyl, and often more than even thermally broken aluminum. But if you're playing the long game, if you own your building and plan to be there for decades, the combination of extreme durability, minimal maintenance, and top-tier energy efficiency makes fiberglass a powerhouse investment that delivers returns for years to come. Of course, we have to talk about the classic wood. There's a reason wood has been used for centuries. It has a timeless, warm, and inviting look that other materials just can't replicate. For a high-end restaurant, a historic inn, or a luxury brand, the aesthetic appeal of a solid wood door frame is unmatched. It's also a naturally good insulator. The main drawback, as anyone with a wood deck knows, is maintenance. Wood needs to be protected from the elements. It has to be regularly sealed, stained, or painted to prevent it from rotting, warping, or suffering insect damage. This is a recurring cost in both time and money. Because of this, A more popular option in the commercial world is a clad frame. This gives you the best of both worlds. You get beautiful, insulating wood on the interior of your business, but the exterior of the frame is covered or clad in a protective layer of durable aluminum or vinyl. This eliminates the need for exterior maintenance while preserving the interior aesthetic. As you can imagine, this combination of materials and craftsmanship makes wood and cladwood frames one of the most expensive options available. Finally, for applications where security and strength are the absolute #1 priority, there's steel. Steel frames can support enormous, heavy panes of glass with incredibly thin, elegant profiles, something other materials can't do. They offer an unparalleled level of security against forced entry. If you own a jewelry store, a high-end art gallery, or a government facility, steel is often the only choice. But it comes with significant trade-offs. Steel is a terrible insulator, even worse than aluminum, so a thermal break is absolutely essential to avoid massive energy loss. It's also incredibly heavy, which can complicate installation and require a more robust building structure to support it. And if the protective coating is ever scratched or compromised, it can be prone to rust. Unsurprisingly, it is also the most expensive material on our list by a wide margin. So let's recap the battlefield. You have standard aluminum, cheap, strong, but an energy disaster. Thermally broken aluminum, the smart, versatile all-rounder. Vinyl, the budget-friendly, low-maintenance insulator. Fiberglass, the ultra-durable, high-performance champion. Wood, the undisputed king of classic aesthetics. And steel, the heavyweight champion of security. Choosing the right one isn't just about picking a material. It's about matching the material's properties to your business's reality, your climate, your budget, your brand identity, and your security needs. Getting this choice right means you'll have a door that not only looks great, but also saves you money, protects your investment, and lasts for decades. Getting it wrong means a constant drain on your profits and a headache you'll have to deal with for years. Now that we've built the perfect foundation, the ideal glass held by the perfect frame, we have to address the moving parts. The components that take this beautiful static window and turn it into a functional door. I'm talking about the hardware, the hinges, the pivots, the handles, and the locks. This isn't just about functionality. It's about the very first physical interaction a customer has with your business. It's about accessibility for everyone. And most importantly, it's about securing everything you've worked so hard to build. And the world of commercial door hardware is a minefield of confusing choices that can have serious consequences if you get them wrong. Let's break down that minefield piece by piece, because understanding the hardware isn't just for your installer. It's for you, the owner. This is your kingdom, and these are the keys, the gates, and the guards. Getting this wrong is like building a fortress with a screen door. First, let's talk about the most fundamental choice you barely knew you had: how the door actually swings open. You're probably thinking, a hinge, right? Well, not so fast. For most heavy commercial glass doors, the standard isn't a hinge. It's a pivot. Imagine the axis of a spinning top. A pivot places that axis point at the top and bottom of the door, either in the center or offset to one side. An offset pivot is the most common. It allows the door to swing in a way that's incredibly stable and smooth, even if the door itself weighs hundreds of pounds. Because the weight is resting directly on the floor and supported at the top, the door is less likely to sag or pull away from the frame over time. This is the heavyweight champion of door swinging technology. Then you have hinges, which work more like the spine of a book. The most robust version for a commercial setting is called a continuous hinge, or a piano hinge. It runs the entire length of the door from top to bottom. Why would you want this? Two massive reasons: security and durability. With standard but hinges, there's a gap between the door and the frame, a gap that a crowbar loves to find. A continuous hinge completely closes that gap, making it incredibly difficult to pry open. It also distributes the door's weight evenly along the entire height of the frame, which drastically reduces stress and prevents that dreaded door sag you see on so many worn-out storefronts. So the first question to your installer should be, are we using pivots or a continuous hinge? And why is that the best choice for this specific door and frame? Okay, the door swings. Now, how does it close? This is where the most misunderstood and yet one of the most critical pieces of hardware comes into play: the door closer. That metal box at the top of the door isn't just a spring-loaded arm. It's a sophisticated hydraulic device designed to control the door with precision. Think of it as your silent, unpaid, and perfectly consistent doorman. A good closer, properly adjusted, does three things. First, it controls the main sweep speed, how fast the door closes from fully open to almost shut. Too fast and it's a hazard. Too slow, and you're air conditioning the entire street. Second, it controls the latch speed. This is the last few inches of travel. The door needs to speed up just a tiny bit to overcome the friction of the weather stripping and the latch itself, ensuring it clicks securely shut every single time. A door that doesn't fully latch is an open invitation to thieves and a massive energy leak. Third, and this is a feature you absolutely want on an exterior door, is backcheck. Backcheck is a hydraulic cushion that prevents the door from being violently thrown open by a strong gust of wind or a careless person. It protects the door, the glass, the frame, and anyone standing on the other side. A cheap bargain bin closer will fail. It will leak hydraulic fluid, lose its adjustments, and either slam shut or refuse to close at all. Investing in a quality, Grade 1 commercial closer is non-negotiable. It's a matter of safety, security, and accessibility. A door that's too hard to push open because of a cheap or poorly adjusted closer isn't just an inconvenience. It's an ADA violation waiting to happen. So the door swings on a pivot and closes with a closer. Now, how does it lock? This is where the jargon gets really thick, but let's simplify. For a typical glass storefront door, you're likely dealing with some form of a mortise lock. This means the lock body itself is mortised or recessed into the narrow style of the aluminum door frame. This is a robust, integrated solution. You might also encounter a rim cylinder lock, which is mounted on the surface of the door. But the key thing to understand is the difference between a latch and a lock. The latch is the part that holds the door closed against the wind. The lock is what secures it against intrusion. On your house, you probably have a little spring-loaded latch in the doorknob and a separate deadbolt for security. In the commercial world, these are often combined. You might have a thumb turn on the inside that throws a deadbolt, or you might have a lock that requires a key on both the inside and the outside. This is called a double-cylinder lock. But be careful here. In many places, a double-cylinder lock that requires a key to exit is a major fire code violation. People must be able to escape in an emergency without fumbling for a key. This brings us to the most important piece of hardware from a life safety perspective: the panic device, also known as a crash bar or an exit device. You've seen them a million times, the horizontal bar you push to open a door from the inside. The name panic device is literal. It was invented after horrific tragedies, like the Iroquois Theater fire in Chicago, where hundreds of people died because they couldn't open the doors in a panic. The principle is simple. A single push on the bar, even by a body pressing against it in a crowd, must unlatch the door and allow immediate egress. If your business has a certain number of occupants, or is designated as an assembly space, panic hardware isn't a choice. It's the law, and there are different types. There are panic bars for single doors, and devices for double doors with a vertical rod that latches at the top and bottom. And here's a critical distinction you need to know: the difference between panic-rated and fire-rated. All fire-rated exit devices are also panic-rated, but not all panic devices are fire-rated. A fire-rated device is built to withstand intense heat and maintain the integrity of a fire-rated door assembly, preventing a fire from spreading. If your door is part of a fire-rated wall, you must use fire-rated hardware. Using the wrong one will cause you to fail your fire inspection period. One last pro tip on panic bars: ask about dogging. What a strange word, right? Dogging is the ability to lock the panic bar's latch in the retracted position. So during business hours, you can dog it down with a small key or a hex wrench, and the door operates as a simple push/pull door. Customers can come and go without having to operate the latch every time. At the end of the day, you release the dogging, and the door is latched and secure. It's a feature that saves immense wear and tear on the hardware and makes life easier for everyone. But again, on a fire-rated door, you can't use standard mechanical dogging because the door must be positively latched at all times to stop a fire. So let's recap the mechanical heart of your door. It swings on pivots or hinges. It's controlled by a hydraulic closer. It's secured by a commercial-grade lock. And it provides safe egress with a panic device. These four systems must work together in perfect harmony. They are the foundation of your storefront's function, safety, and security. Getting these mechanical components right is the essential first step. But in our modern world, just having a strong lock and a good key isn't always enough. What happens when you have to give a key to an employee? What happens when that employee leaves? Making copies, changing locks. It's a constant, expensive headache. This is where we move beyond the purely mechanical and into the world of control and intelligence. We're moving from just locking the door to deciding who can unlock it and when. And that opens up a whole new realm of possibilities that can transform your business's security from a simple barrier into a smart, manageable system. So let's talk about that system. Imagine you hand a new employee a traditional metal key. That key is a symbol of trust, but it's also a bundle of liabilities you've just handed over. That single piece of metal represents a static, unchanging permission slip. It works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It can be copied at any hardware store for a few dollars. And if that employee leaves on bad terms, or simply loses that key, your entire security is compromised. The only solution? A costly visit from a locksmith to rekey every single lock that key opened, and the hassle of redistributing new keys to everyone else. It's an expensive, inefficient, and frankly outdated way to manage who comes and goes. This is the fundamental problem that modern access control solves. It replaces the dumb metal key with a smart credential. Instead of asking, does this person have the right key? The system asks a series of much more intelligent questions. Who is this person? Are they allowed in right now? Is the building armed? Should I record this entry? This isn't just a lock. It's a gatekeeper, a timekeeper, and a record keeper all rolled into one. Let's break down how it works because it's far simpler than it sounds. At its core, an access control system has 4 main components. First, you have the credential. This is your new key. It can be a plastic card like a credit card that you swipe or tap. It could be a small fob that you attach to your keychain. Could even be your own smartphone using an app. And for higher security, it could be your fingerprint or your face. The beauty here is flexibility. You can give durable plastic cards to your full-time managers, less expensive fobs to part-time staff, and grant temporary mobile access to a contractor for a single afternoon. Second, you have the reader. This is the small box mounted next to your glass door. It's the device that reads the credential. When you tap your card or present your phone, the reader grabs that unique information and sends it inward. Modern readers are sleek, low profile, and can easily complement the aesthetic of a beautiful glass entryway. They're no longer the clunky industrial boxes you might be picturing. Third, and this is the most important part, you have the controller. Think of the controller as the brain of the operation. It's typically a secure box hidden away in an IT closet or a back office. The reader sends the credentials information to the controller, and the controller makes the decision. It checks the information against the rules you've set. It asks, is this Jane from accounting? Yes. Is it 9:30 a.m. on a Tuesday? Yes. Is she on the list of approved people for this door at this time? Yes. If all the answers are yes, the controller sends a tiny electrical signal to the lock, and click, the door unlocks for a few seconds. If the answer to any of those questions is no, the door remains securely locked. And fourth, you have the software. This is your command center. This is where you, the business owner, set the rules. And here's the game changer. You can access this software from your office computer, your laptop at home, or even your phone while you're on vacation. This is where you add a new employee, delete an old one, set schedules, and view activity reports. Let's see how this plays out in the real world. Think back to that employee who leaves. With a traditional key, you have a major security headache. With access control, you log into the system, find their name, and click deactivate. It takes 10 seconds. Their card or fob is now a useless piece of plastic. You're done. No locksmith, no rekeying, no drama. Your building is instantly secure again. The cost savings from avoiding just 1 or 2 rekeying incidents can often pay for the system itself. But it goes so much deeper than that. Let's say you have a cleaning crew that only comes in on Tuesday and Thursday nights. With keys, you're trusting them to have 24/7 access. With access control, you create a schedule. Their credentials will only work between 8 p.m. and 10 p.m. on those specific days. If they try to show up on a Saturday, the reader will see their card, the controller will check the rules, and it will deny access. You have complete control over your timeline. Or what about tracking and accountability? A few months go by, and you notice some inventory is missing from the stockroom. You're not sure when it happened. With a key, you have no idea who has been in and out of that room. It's a total mystery. With an access control system, you can pull up an audit trail for that door. You can see a log of every single person who entered, and the exact time they did it. Okay, let's see. Bob entered at 2:15 p.m. Sally at 2:40 p.m. And wait, who is this? An unrecognized card attempted entry at 3 a.m. You now have actionable data. You've turned a guess into evidence. This level of oversight is simply impossible with a lock and key. And these systems can grow with your business. You start with just your main glass entrance door. A year later, you want to add it to your server room in your office. No problem. You just add a new reader and lock, and connect it to the same controller and software. It's a scalable solution that protects your initial investment. Now let's address the elephant in the room: integration. This is where a simple security system transforms into a truly smart business tool. Your access control system doesn't have to live on an island. It can talk to other systems in your building. For example, you can link it to your security alarm. When the first authorized employee arrives in the morning and taps their card, the system can be programmed to automatically disarm the alarm. When the last person leaves and locks the door, it can arm it. This reduces false alarms and simplifies opening and closing procedures for your staff. You can also integrate it with your video surveillance system. You can set a rule that every time the front door is unlocked, the camera above it records a 15-second clip and saves it to a special folder. If there's ever an incident, you don't have to scrub through hours of footage. You have a neat video log of every single entry, tied directly to the person who initiated it. For businesses with hourly employees, you can even integrate it with your time and attendance software. The first tap of the day to enter the building can automatically clock an employee in for their shift. It's seamless, it's accurate, and it eliminates the need for a separate time clock. I know what some of you are thinking. This sounds amazing, but it also sounds expensive and complicated. Let's tackle that head-on. 10 years ago, you'd be right. These systems were complex, enterprise-level solutions reserved for massive corporations. But today, the technology has become incredibly accessible and affordable. There are cloud-based systems that reduce the amount of on-site hardware you need, with intuitive mobile apps that make managing your system as easy as managing your Facebook page. When you factor in the cost of a single rekeying event, the potential cost of a break-in due to a lost key, or the time saved on managing physical keys, the return on investment for an access control system becomes very clear very quickly. It's an investment in security, efficiency, and most importantly, peace of mind. And what about a power outage? It's a valid concern. Professional installers will address this by using a battery backup system for the controller and locks. Furthermore, you'll choose between two types of electronic locks. There are fail-safe locks, which unlock when power is lost. These are used for life safety doors to ensure people can always get out in an emergency. And there are fail-secure locks, which remain locked when power is lost, keeping your property secure. The right installer will help you determine the correct type for each door based on building codes and your specific security needs. So we've moved from a simple piece of glass to a dynamic, intelligent entryway. You've chosen the perfect door that reflects your brand. You've fortified it with the right hardware. And now you've given it a brain. You are no longer just locking your door. You are managing access to your entire business with precision and intelligence. You've laid the physical and digital foundation. But how do you ensure that all these carefully selected components, the glass, the frame, the lock, the access control, are put together perfectly? Because a flawless design can be completely undermined by a flawed installation. This is the moment of truth. The installation process is where theory meets reality, where blueprints and purchase orders transform into a physical, functioning part of your business. It's the single most critical phase, and it's where a small mistake can lead to a massive recurring headache. Think of it like this: you can buy the most expensive high-performance engine in the world, but if it's installed by a mechanic who cross-threads a single bolt, that engine is at best a liability and at worst a catastrophe waiting to happen. Your commercial glass door is no different. So the first and most important step in the installation process has nothing to do with tools or materials. It begins with vetting your installer. This is not the time to look for the cheapest quote on a classified site. This is the time to find a true craftsman, a specialist. Let me be blunt. A general handyman or a residential window guy is not who you want for this job. You need a commercial glazier. These are professionals who live and breathe this work. They understand the unique stresses a commercial door endures, hundreds of cycles a day, constant exposure to the elements, and the unforgiving requirements of the Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA. Your vetting process should be rigorous. First, and this is non-negotiable, demand proof of licensing and insurance. Ask to see their general liability insurance and their workers' compensation certificate. Why is this so critical? Imagine an installer accidentally drops a massive pane of tempered glass, shattering it across your entryway and injuring a passerby. Or what if one of their crew members falls from a ladder? If they aren't properly insured, that liability, that lawsuit, that medical bill, it doesn't just fall on them. It can fall squarely on you, the property owner. A professional installer will have this paperwork ready, and will be happy to provide it. Anyone who hesitates or makes excuses is an immediate red flag. Run, don't walk. Next, look at their experience and portfolio. Ask them directly. How many commercial glass door installations like mine have you completed in the last year? You want to see a portfolio filled with businesses, not houses. Look for projects that are similar in scope and complexity to yours. If you're a high-end boutique, look for examples of their work on other retail storefronts. If you're an office building, look for similar corporate entrances. And don't just look at the pictures on their website. Ask for references and actually call them. When you speak to a past client, don't just ask, "Were you happy?" Ask specific, probing questions. Did they stick to the schedule and the budget? How did they handle unexpected challenges? Was the worksite kept clean and safe? And most importantly, how has the door performed in the months or years since the installation? The answers to these questions are worth more than any sales pitch. Finally, let's talk about the quote. A legitimate quote is not a number scribbled on the back of a business card. It should be a detailed, itemized document. It should break down the costs for the specific type of glass, the frame, the hardware, the labor, the removal and disposal of your old door, and any necessary permits. A vague, single-line quote is a sign of an amateur who is either hiding costs or doesn't fully understand the scope of the project. A detailed quote, on the other hand, is a sign of a professional who has done their homework. It shows they've thought through every step of the process, and it gives you a clear, transparent understanding of where your money is going. Once you've selected your installer and signed the contract, the pre-installation phase begins. This is where a true pro distinguishes themselves. They won't just show up on installation day and hope for the best. They will conduct a thorough site survey. They'll take precise, final measurements of the opening, checking to see if it's plumb, level, and square. A surprising number of building openings aren't perfect, and a professional installer knows how to account for these imperfections to ensure a flawless fit. They'll also assess the structural integrity of the surrounding wall, making sure it can support the weight of the new door system. This is a crucial diagnostic step that prevents major problems down the line. Then comes scheduling. A good installation partner understands that you are running a business. A torn-up entryway for 3 days during peak business hours is not an option. They will work with you to create a schedule that minimizes disruption. This might mean working after hours over a weekend, or phasing the project to maintain access to your building. They'll communicate clearly about the timeline, what to expect, and what they need from you. This might include clearing a staging area for their materials and ensuring the work area is free of furniture, displays, and foot traffic. When installation day arrives, you'll see the difference between a professional crew and a couple of guys in a truck. The process is a masterclass in precision and teamwork. The first step is the careful removal of the old door and frame. They won't just take a sledgehammer to it. They will deconstruct it piece by piece to avoid damaging the surrounding drywall, flooring, and structure. Once the old door is out, they'll meticulously prepare the raw opening. This is a step that amateurs often rush, but it's the foundation for everything that follows. They will clean the opening of all old caulk, debris, and fasteners. They'll check for any damage and make necessary repairs. They will ensure the base is perfectly level and the sides are perfectly plumb. If the opening isn't perfect, they will use shims, small, precise wedges, to create a perfectly square and stable foundation for the new frame. This step alone can determine whether your door glides smoothly or scrapes and binds for the rest of its life. Next, the new frame is carefully set into the prepared opening. Using levels and lasers, they will secure it, ensuring it is perfectly aligned on all axes. Even a tiny deviation here can cause the door to swing improperly, create gaps that let in drafts, or put undue stress on the hinges. Once the frame is perfectly secured, the real show begins: installing the glass. These large panels of commercial glass are incredibly heavy and surprisingly fragile on their edges. The crew will use specialized suction cups and lifting equipment to maneuver the glass into place. It's a slow, deliberate process that requires immense strength and focus. After the glass is set, they will install the hardware, the pivot hinges, the overhead or floor closer, the panic bar, the handles, and the locking mechanisms. Each component is installed to the manufacturer's exact specifications, torqued to the correct tightness, and tested for proper function. The final stage is the finishing work. They will apply a continuous bead of high-grade commercial sealant, or caulk, around the entire perimeter of the frame, both inside and out. This creates a weatherproof and airtight seal, which is critical for your building's energy efficiency. They'll install the weather stripping, ensuring a tight seal when the door is closed. And finally, they will meticulously clean the entire work area, including the glass itself, leaving your entryway looking pristine. But the job isn't over when the tools are packed away. Before you sign off and make that final payment, the lead installer should conduct a thorough walkthrough with you. They should demonstrate the door's full range of operation. They'll show you how to adjust the swing speed and latching speed on the door closer. They'll explain the function of the lock and provide you with the keys. If you have an access control system, they will walk you through its basic operation. This is your opportunity to ask questions and to make sure you are 100% satisfied with the work. You should operate the door yourself. Does it swing smoothly and silently? Does it latch securely without slamming? Is the lock easy to engage? Look closely at the finish. Are the caulk lines clean and straight? Is there any damage to the frame or the surrounding walls? Finally, make sure you receive all the necessary documentation. This includes the manufacturer's warranties for the glass, frame, and all hardware components, as well as a written warranty from the installer covering their labor. A reputable installer will stand behind their work. This paperwork is your protection and your peace of mind. Only after this final inspection, this handover of knowledge, and the receipt of all warranties, should you consider the installation complete. This meticulous process is what separates a door that just fills a hole in the wall from an entryway that elevates your business, providing security, style, and flawless performance for years to come. But the installer's final handshake isn't the end of the story. It's the beginning of a new chapter in the life of your business, and like any critical asset, your new commercial door requires care and attention to deliver on its promise of longevity. Think of it less like a static fixture and more like a high-performance machine. You wouldn't buy a new delivery van and never check the oil. And the same principle applies to the entryway that welcomes every dollar into your business. The first and most simple step is routine cleaning, but even this has its nuances. For the glass itself, avoid ammonia-based cleaners, like many common household window sprays. Over time, ammonia can damage films, tints, and even the seals around the insulated glass unit, leading to fogging between the panes. Instead, opt for a simple solution of mild dish soap and water, or a specialized ammonia-free glass cleaner. Use a soft, lint-free microfiber cloth, not paper towels, which can leave behind tiny fibers and even cause micro-scratches. Pay special attention to the frame. For aluminum, a gentle cleaner is all you need. For steel, ensure it stays dry to prevent any chance of rust, especially at the base where water can pool. And for wood, use a cleaner specifically designed for finished wood to preserve its seal and beauty. Beyond cleaning, you need to become a proactive inspector of your own entryway. Once a month, take 60 seconds to perform a quick check. Open and close the door. Does it swing smoothly without any grinding or scraping sounds? A new noise is your door's way of telling you something is wrong. Check the closer at the top. Is it leaking any oil? A hydraulic leak is a death sentence for a closer. It's not reparable, only replaceable. Look at the threshold and the weather stripping around the entire frame. Is it cracked, peeling, or compressed flat? Worn-out seals are an open invitation for drafts, dust, and water, sending your energy bills soaring. Wiggle the handles, the push bar, and the lock mechanism. Is there any excessive play or looseness? Hardware that isn't tight can lead to catastrophic failure, often at the worst possible moment. This simple monthly checkup can help you catch small problems before they become expensive, business-halting emergencies. But what happens when you do find an issue? Let's talk about some of the most common problems and how to troubleshoot them. The number one complaint is door speed. Your door is suddenly slamming shut, posing a risk to customers, or it's closing so slowly that your air conditioning is basically cooling the entire street. This is almost always an issue with the hydraulic door closer. Most closers have 2 or 3 adjustment screws. One controls the sweep speed, which is the speed of the door for most of its travel. Another controls the latch speed, the speed for the last few inches of closing, ensuring it clicks securely into the frame. Sometimes a third screw adjusts the back check, which cushions the door if it's thrown open violently by the wind or a hurried customer. With a simple screwdriver, you can make tiny quarter-turn adjustments to dial in these speeds. But be warned, never, ever unscrew these valves completely, as it can release the hydraulic fluid and ruin the unit. If adjustments don't solve the problem, or if you see that oil leak we mentioned, it's time to call a professional to replace the closer. Another common issue is the door being difficult to lock, or the key being hard to turn. Before you call a locksmith, check the alignment. Look at the gap between the door and the frame. Is it even all the way around? A building can settle over time, causing the door to sag and the bolt to misalign with the strike plate in the frame. Sometimes you can see where the bolt has been scraping against the plate. This is often a job for a professional, as it may require adjusting hinges or even repositioning the entire frame, but identifying the problem yourself saves you time and diagnostic costs. And what about drafts? If you feel air coming in, the culprit is almost always the weather stripping. Replacing it is a relatively simple and inexpensive DIY job that can have an immediate impact on your energy bills and the comfort of your space. It's one of the highest return on investment maintenance tasks you can perform. Understanding this long-term care is what transforms your perspective. You stop seeing your commercial door as a simple purchase and start seeing it for what it truly is: a powerful business tool with a multifaceted return on investment. The most obvious return is, of course, security. That grade 1 deadbolt, the continuous hinge, the laminated security glass, they aren't just features on an invoice. They are the silent guardians of your inventory, your equipment, and your peace of mind. Every night when you lock up, a properly installed, high-quality door is the difference between a restful sleep and a nagging worry in the back of your mind. It's an investment in the fundamental safety of your livelihood, but the hidden returns are where the real magic happens. Let's talk energy savings. That perfectly sealed weather stripping and that low-E glass we discussed in earlier parts aren't just for show. A single standard commercial door with a worn-out seal can be the equivalent of having a small window open all day, every day. In a hot climate like Arizona or a cold one like Minnesota, that seemingly small gap can cost you hundreds, if not thousands of dollars a year in wasted heating and cooling. A new, perfectly sealed door plugs that leak in your budget, often paying for a portion of its cost over its lifetime in energy savings alone. Then there's the powerful, often underestimated, return on customer perception. Imagine two coffee shops side by side. The first has an old, scratched aluminum door that you have to yank hard to open. It scrapes the ground as it moves and slams shut behind you. What does that tell you subconsciously before you've even ordered? It suggests neglect. It hints that if they don't care about their front door, maybe they don't care about the freshness of their coffee beans or the cleanliness of their kitchen. Now imagine the second shop. It has a beautiful clear glass door that swings open with a silent, satisfying hydraulic whisper. It feels substantial, smooth. It closes gently behind you. This experience, this first physical interaction with the business, communicates quality, care, and professionalism. It sets a positive tone for the entire customer journey. Your front door is the first handshake with your customer. Make it a firm one. And finally, there's the return on accessibility and liability. A door that meets ADA standards with the correct hardware, threshold, and closing speed isn't just about following the law. It's about declaring that your business is open and welcoming to everyone. It's a message of inclusivity. It also protects you. A door that slams shut can injure a child or an elderly customer. A threshold that's too high can be a trip hazard. A world-class installation isn't just about getting the door in the frame. It's about creating a safe, accessible, and welcoming entryway that minimizes your liability and maximizes your potential customer base. So, as we reach the end of this journey, from the initial spark of an idea to the final turn of a screwdriver, let's distill everything we've learned down to one central truth. Your commercial glass door is not an afterthought. It is not a line item to be minimized. It is the face of your business, the guardian of your assets, the manager of your energy costs, and the first and last impression you make on every single person who walks through it. Choosing the right materials, vetting the right installer, and committing to proper maintenance is one of the most fundamental investments you can make in the perception, profitability, and security of your small business. You've put your heart and soul into building your dream. Make sure the entryway reflects the quality of what's inside. Thank you for joining us on this comprehensive guide. We hope this series has empowered you with the knowledge and confidence to tackle this critical project. If you found this information valuable, do us a favor and hit that like button. It truly helps the channel reach and help more business owners just like you. And for more deep dives into the essential aspects of running a successful business in the USA, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. We want to hear from you. Share your own commercial door nightmares or success stories in the comments below. Let's learn from each other. Now go out there and build a better entrance to your business.